We are ready to go. Hare Krishna. So we are on the fourth session of the total five session. Today we'll be covering the karma, the perfect law. So last two sessions we covered the soul, who we are, and what is our connection with this body. So we talked about soul, and the last week we covered about the Paramatma, the super soul, or the God. Uh, who is God, how we are connected to the God. We talked about that. And now I will talk about the action. What actions you are supposed to do in this world. So in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna talks very extensively about the law of karma. But this is one shloka from the fourth chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, shloka 17. Where Krishna says the intricacies of actions are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So here Krishna says that one should know karma very nicely. One should know this law very nicely, and it is very hard to understand. In the next few slides, we'll know, though the law of karma is very simple, but it is very intricate. So here Krishna recommends that one should know what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So our discussion today will be just based on these three parts. So let's just go on the basic level. Karma, what is it? Karma actually is no longer a Sanskrit word or a word limited to just Indian subcontinent. Practically everybody knows in this world the word karma. So, and people have, very nice understanding of karma. So we'll just go some of the definition that probably we all know. It is a reaction to action. Every action that we take, it has a corresponding reaction. And scientifically also, Newton's third law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Karma is exactly like that. Every action we take, there is an opposite reaction. So every action has equal and opposite reaction. So this is the Newton's third law. He shows that it's not that Newton discovered this law. This law was there quite before, and it was established by Krishna. In a normal, day-to-day language, many times we say, what goes around comes around. People, as in our day-to-day life, we understand this law of karma with this word: what goes around, what comes around. And in a more philosophically, people say, reap what you sow. So in farming, if you sow the seed of apple tree, you will get apple. If you sow the seed of some thorny bush, you will get the thorny bushes. So whatever you sow, whatever action you take, accordingly you will get the reaction. So this is basically the law of karma. It is nothing some rocket science. It is very simple law. You are responsible for whatever action you take. Whatever action you take, there will be a equal and opposite reaction. So one simple question: can we stop karma? An answer given by Krishna is no. You cannot stop karma. One cannot just simply do something and karma stops. And what is the reason behind? If you have understood our previous two sessions, the soul is always active. We are not this body, we are a spirit soul. And soul, it is always active. And activity generates karma. Activity, action has opposite and equal reaction. So one cannot stop karma. It is always going on. Even while sitting at one place and doing meditation, we are generating that time also karma. We are breathing, and in breathing, so many bacteria goes inside, and then they are getting killed. Or we are just simply walking, and then so many insects get trampled upon. So we cannot stop karma at any time, because soul, it is always active. And karma is the perfect law. uh, in our so-called laws of our countries, and various laws, sub-laws governed by the various authorities, people, they find some loopholes and some bypass to to get away from the law. But the law of karma, nobody can break this law. It's a perfect law. If you do something, the law will catch up on you, no matter who you are. And why this law, it is never be broken. And also it says it is infallible, never fails. This law, it never fails to give the reaction to our action. It is not possible at all. Uh, and what is the machinery, or what is the instrument which are used in our law informants, for our police and all? They have their cameras. If you if you break a traffic light, if you break a traffic signal, or if you're speeding, the camera catches, and after some time you get a ticket. So there is an instrument used for camera, and the traffic department will tell you, you broke this law, we have a picture for you, and we cannot argue that. So what instruments which is used uh, uh, by the law of karma to to enforce the law? So in last session we talked about Paramatma, and Paramatma is always a witness. So in our heart, we as a soul, we reside in the heart of our body, and along with this soul, there is a super soul. And one of the function of the super soul is to witness every activity that we are performing. Not only activity, every thought, every thought that we have, every desire that we have, everything is witnessed by Paramatma, or the super soul. Nothing goes unrecorded. Everything is recorded. Uh, Even while we are sleeping, what dreams we are getting, you know, everything is recorded by Paramatma. And because of that witness, the this law of karma can never be broken. It is never, it never fails uh, to give the reaction. So law of karma, it is simple but intricate. Just we saw the law of his karma is action, generates reaction. It is simple, but is very intricate. Hmm? And sometimes we are confused because we see good people suffering or bad people enjoying, and then we question ourselves: if law of karma is so perfect, how come the good people who are supposed to enjoy, they are suffering, and bad people who are supposed to suffer, they're enjoying? How is this possible? So there's intricacies of law of karma. That's where we get all our answer. So in the Mahabharata, there's a scripture called Mahabharata. Bhagavad-Gita is part of this great scripture called Mahabharata. There's the story of Dhritarashtra is there. So very briefly, uh, the Dhritarashtra, he was a king, and his sons fought a war with his cousins, and in that war, Dhritarashtra, all his 100 sons were killed. And Dhritarashtra, actually, he was a blind. He was a king, but he was a blind. And his wife voluntarily took blindness upon her because her husband was blind. So when the war was over, uh, Dhritarashtra, he approached Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He approached Krishna. The Krishna, you know past, present, and future. You are God. Uh, can you please tell me what have I done in the past? This reaction, that pain that I'm going through of losing my 100 sons, what have I done in the past to deserve this? So Krishna, he is being the supreme personality of Godhead, Paramatma. He is a witness to all the activities of all the living entities. He said, Dhritarashtra, 100 births back, you were a hunter, and one day you set fire to a tree, and on that tree there was this couple of bird, he bird and she bird. They were living there. They had their nest, and they had their small 100 chicks, just born small 100 chicks. And because of the fire, this tree, the chicks could not fly away, and they fall into the fire and they died. And the mother and the father, the he bird and the she bird, they had to go through scorching pain. This pain was far greater than the heat of the pain of losing those 100 chicks. They cried and cried and cried, and eventually they also died in that fire. And before that, they became blind. So Krishna said that you caused the pain to this he bird and the she bird, and you caused those pain to those he and she bird by because they lost their 100 chicks. So the same reaction, the same pain that you gave to those birds, you are getting it back as a reaction, as by the law of karma. So then Dhritarashtra asked, my dear Krishna, I did it 100 births back. Why in that birth only I got my reaction? I didn't have to wait for this 100 birth or maybe the next birth. Why I had to wait for 100 birth? So Krishna answered that you did not had the pious credit or the credit to have 100 sons in your life. To go through the pain of losing 100 sons, first of all you should have 100 sons, but you did not have that pious credit to have 100 sons. So for the 100th birth you are acting very piously so that you could get the 100 sons. So now the time is ripe, your karma are ready to give reaction. So in this birth you're blind because you caused, because of your activity, those birds were blinded and they suffered the pain of losing those 100 chicks. So now the karma is ready to give you the reaction. So now you are losing these 100 sons and you're experiencing the same pain that you caused that pain to those birds. So in this we understand the intricacies of karma. Though if you just take the subset of the 100 lives that Dhritarashtra has to go through, if you take his 30th birth or 31st birth, if you just take that one lifetime, you will say he's doing all the nice things in the world. But he's just creating that pious credit so that he will get a son, 100 sons. But he's just getting himself ready to go through the pain that he caused to those birds. So this is the intricacies of karma. At other place in Bhagavad-Gita, there is an example of banyan trees given. So those who know a little bit of banyan tree, this tree, it grows from the ground and in these branches they spread, and some of the branches they come down and they actually become the root of the tree, and the tree again expands and again expands. Again the more branches they come down to the tree and they take the form of a root, and then this cycle goes on and on. After a few years you can't really find out what is the real root of that tree, because the one first root has generated so many other roots, so you can't really say this is the first root or this is the second root. Similarly the karma, you really do not know where it begins, where this the whole thing started. So it's very intricate. So there's some karma uh, uh, For example, in our day-to-day activity, uh, if you break a law, say if you break some traffic law and police is just behind you, he will just catch you and he'll give you the ticket on the spot. So you get the reaction immediately. And some karma, you are speeding on the motorway and camera clicks you, and after a week or 2 weeks, you get a ticket on in your post. So so the reaction takes some time uh, to 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 catch on you. And sometimes we hear the news that somebody committed some some crime some 30-40 years back, and now they have some more witness and some more proof of who did it, and that person gets called off, gets arrested, and he's given the punishment for that one. Similarly, the karma works in a kind of a same way only. Some karma, it gives the immediate reaction, immediate result. Uh, for example, if you eat something very sweet, something very palatable, you immediately get very nice, happy sensation. Uh, and some karma, for example, smoking cigarette, it might be feeling very nice to smoke a cigarette, but the reaction will come after a few years, when the lungs are getting damaged, and then you get the reaction after that. And some karma, it takes years or even lifetime to get the reaction. So karma, though, is a very simple law, but it's very intricate. We do not know where it starts and where it ends. So now let's go back to the what Krishna talked about: action, forbidden action, and inaction. So we call it as a types of karma. So first we'll talk about karma. Uh, So now karma can be good karma and bad karma. The good karma is called just karma, and the bad karma is called forbidden action, or in the Sanskrit is called vikarma. So karma in itself, it means good karma. uh, Just like in mathematics, in the numerology, we have minus figures and we have positive figure. If it is minus, we say it is minus 3. But if it is plus 3, we do not say plus 3 or positive 3, we just say 3. When you say 3 means it is positive. So when you say karma, actually karma means a good activity, a nice activity. So the karma, it is a prescribed duty, a duty which one are supposed to do. For example, one should follow the rules of the traffic, one should look after the family, one should pay their taxes, and so many activities which are prescribed duty. One is supposed to do that activity. And once we do that prescribed duty, it is a positive action. This action, it's about positive. Nobody gets hurt with that one. And it generates punya. Punya means it creates pious credit, a pious reaction. And it is a prerequisite to enjoying. If you want to enjoy the life, you have to follow the rules and regulation. You do the good action, good karma. Uh, and we can give various examples on this one. We talked about following the government rules and regulation, or you have to be charitable in the society, help the people. This way, the positive action creates good karma, and it leads to enjoyment. If you have to enjoy in the life, you create good karma. It's a positive action, and this will generate a very positive reaction, and you can enjoy that. And opposite to karma, it is called vikarma, or Krishna calls it, or in the English we call it forbidden action. Krishna calls it vikarma, we call it forbidden action. This vikarma, it is absolutely opposite to karma. So this is forbidden action. Action you're not supposed to do. Huh? And it is a negative action. Uh, and it generates a pap or sin. Hmm? And it results into misery. So it is exactly opposite mirror, but the negative copy of karma. A forbidden action you're not supposed to do. And it generates pap. It does not generate any pious credit. It generates sin. and it results into a misery. Hmm? Uh, Various examples we can give in our life. We are supposed to be, nice to the other people. If somebody wants to cross the road, you help them, the person. You you're nice to the people in general in the society, to your family. These are nice, good action. It generates a nice reaction. When the vikarma, if you're not supposed to throw at people's window, if you're not supposed to do, it's forbidden action. uh, and it generates pap. If you do that, police will come and catch you and put you into prison. uh, and that prison is a misery. So vikarma is the action which you're not supposed to do. If you do that, then you will have the very miserable, unfavorable reaction to that one. So, understanding this one, karma and vikarma, it is our choice. Choice is ours. Any sane, civilized person will say, if this is the case, if the good karma or the pious activity, positive activity gives me enjoyment, and the forbidden action gives me misery, then what is my choice? We have information how this action works. So what is our choice? Our choice is avoid vikarma, sin or pap. Do not do perform forbidden activity because it leads to misery, and engage in karma or good deeds or punya. Be nice in this world. Do nice activity. Be helpful to the world. Then this generates a good karma. And then with this karma you will enjoy. So any sane person, any thoughtful person will say, this is no brainer. This is a clear choice. If I want to be happy in this society, I have to generate good karma. But there is a problem. There has to be always a problem. Uh, what is that problem? That both binds soul to birth and death. So now we are connecting karma to what we discussed in our past three sessions. That soul, it is passing from body to body. That is birth and death. And when the body is not usable, soul takes goes to the another body. Uh, and then when that body is not usable, it goes to the another body. That is birth and death. Uh, so both karma and vikarma are binding the soul to birth and death. Why? Because karma, to enjoy, you have to take another birth to enjoy. For example, if you have been a really, really good person, you help the society, been good to the society, done a lot of charity, and you have to, and it's your right, you are eligible, to enjoy profuse facilities and enjoyment because of your good activity. And those enjoyment mean you cannot probably enjoy completely in one life. You might have to take another life to enjoy the fruits of your good deeds. So it binds you to another body. So karma, good karma, you have to take another birth to enjoy. And vikarma, and come back again to suffer. If you've done, forbidden activities or pap or sin, Uh, sometimes you're not good enough to enjoy in that lifetime. In the example of that Dhritarashtra, it was not sufficient. The pain could not be given there and then. He had to take so many births to again go through the pain of losing 100 sons. So again, he had to take the body. So karma and vikarma, it gives momentum to the cycle of birth and death. If you do good, again you come back to enjoy the fruits of your good activity. If you do bad, again you come back to suffer the misery of your bad karma or bad action. So it gives the momentum, it just increases the cycle of birth and death. So one may ask the question, yes, we understood, if I do good, I will enjoy. If I do bad, I will suffer. So the question comes, what is wrong with another birth to enjoy? I will do good. I'll be nice to everyone, and I will become so nice that I will just keep enjoying birth after birth after birth. What is wrong with that? Okay, so answer to that question is every birth comes with four problems. No matter you take birth because to enjoy or to suffer. Every human birth, it comes with these four problems. Not human birth, every birth, any species, it comes with the four problems. First is the birth itself. The process of taking birth, it's a very painful process. huh? Those who know the scientific, you know, or the actions, how a living entity comes out of the womb of a mother, being a human or any other living entity, it's a very painful process. huh? We won't go in detail. You can consult some medical books on that one. Birth is a very painful process. It is one of the most uh, difficult condition to be in. Our scriptures and even medical science supports that the child in the womb of a mother are covered by amniotic acid and upside down, bent like an arch, and then is completely dependent on what food mother eats, and sometimes bacteria eats the body. It's a very horrible condition. And so with the other species, no matter which species one takes birth, the process of birth itself is very painful. Uh, and the next is the old age. Those who take a birth, they grow, they become young, and eventually they become old. And old age, I'm slowly getting old. I saw my father getting old, my grandfather getting old, and when I was young, I thought, oh, I'll never get old. I'll keep enjoying my young body. But I'm slowly getting old, and I can understand now, the problems the old age brings. Our The body is not agile, our brain is slowing down, the senses are not working properly. I'm having glasses, the hearing goes slowly down, your digestion goes down, and so many difficulties the old age brings. So uh, in any species that you are, if you take a birth, eventually you grow old, and old age is a very painful condition. And next is a disease. So no matter who you are, whether rich or a poor, young or old, everybody uh, has to pass through the disease. Now, what better example we can give than we are all going through this pandemic of corona, such a horrible condition of being diseased, and there is not just one disease. There are whole medical science, all our hospitals, the NHS, all the research centers, they're all full of so many various kinds of disease. There are so many diseases that they can't even understand why this disease is there. But this disease is a very painful condition. Nobody ever looks after that. The purpose of my life is that I want to be diseased. Disease is a very uncomfortable, painful condition. A small disease like a cold, if you get just the common cold, it gives so much trouble. This sore throat, and and the nose is running, and your head is aching. It's very very simple common cold. It's a disease, but it gives so much pain, so much makes our life so uncomfortable. Now, what to speak of the diseases like cancer, or the arthritis, or diabetes. There are, you name it. No decision, no disease is ever. One cannot say my disease is better than you, or I'm better off, with this disease than the other disease. No, any disease that you have, it is a problem. It is the very uncomfortable situation of our life. So, birth, old age, and disease. Uh, uh, these are the very painful conditions of our life. And the last one, death. My God. Everybody in this world is afraid of death. Who can say I'm not afraid of death? So now some people says I'm not afraid of death, but when death comes, they're really afraid. Death is again a very painful condition at various levels. The mentally, a person who has lived in this body for so many years, he is so attached to his family members, his house, his cars, his reputation. At the time of death, he has to leave everything and go. So there's a pain of losing all these things. And the process of death itself, when the soul leaves the body, because of so many attachment, the process itself is so painful. So death is very painful in the society. Nobody wants the death. All our governments, all our institutions, charities, they all are working, to stop death or delay the death. Even in the hospital, somebody, if he is in uh, some disease condition, they say, okay, we'll make some arrangement so that person lives a little longer. So why? Because death is a very painful process. So these are the four problems of any body, either human body or any other body, plants, animals, whatever body. They all have this problem: birth, old age, disease, and death. Nobody can bypass these four problems. So either take a good karma or bad karma. If you have a good karma, you come back to enjoy, or bad karma, you come back to suffer. No matter what is your karmic balance sheet is, if you get another body, if you take another birth, in that birth you have these four problems: birth, old age, disease, and death. You cannot avoid that. You might have the uh, the great credit of pious karma to enjoy in the life. Uh, for example, you become the prince in a great kingdom. So that prince has, hundreds of servants around him. He has a big palace to live, wonderful clothes, nice food to eat. But can he take the birth different than the another living entity? That prince is born the same way as any other living entity. The pain, he still has to go through the same pain any other common person. Can the prince say, I will never become old? Even though because of his good karma he is enjoying the wonderful facilities, but still he has to grow old and enjoy or suffer the same pain of every other living entity, even though his karmas are quite good, very nice karma. And disease, uh, can somebody say, I have so much wealth, I have no so much nice karma, so I will not catch corona? No. You just go out, and you be little, casual and careless, disease will catch you. Or for that matter,
Pious.
di- diabetes or blood pressure or any disease, you just catch that disease. So no matter how much pious you are, you'll get the disease. And again, the death is there always. No matter how influential or powerful you are, the process of death, it is there. Either you die in a first class hospital, room where you are dying, or dying in a small room or hut or on the road, or animals die on the jungle. The process is still the same. So the birth, old age, disease, and death, these are the four problems one cannot avoid. And sorry to bring another bad news on top of that. There are we are all time surrounded by three types of miseries. Uh, and now these birth, old age, disease, and death, they take place at particular time. But in between also, there are these three miseries which is always there. The first is Adi Atmi, caused by our own body and mind. Our own body or mind gives the misery. It is called Adi Atmik. Misery is caused by our own body and the mind. Uh, for example, you uh, you like certain kind of food, so you like pizza, but you ate so much, that you have indigestion. So that is called your own body gives you the misery, or your own mind gives you the misery. Uh, 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 for example, you support a particular football team, and you are attached to that football team. You're sitting nicely in your room, with nice heating around, and everything is absolutely nice. But suddenly, some news comes: your favorite football team has lost a match, and you become miserable. Why? Your own mind is giving you the problem. So misery is caused by your own body and the mind. And the next is adi bhautik. The misery is caused by other living entity. Best example, coronavirus. It's a small bacteria. It enters in your body and it gives you the misery. Or if you are driving, properly on a motorway or on a car, and a careless driver comes and smashes into your car. So this is a misery is given by other living entity. We have no control on the other living entities. They just, somehow other, interact, come into our life and give us the misery. And the other type of misery, adi devik, the misery is caused by supernatural powers, which is like excessive cold or heat or rain or volcano or uh, so these are the miseries caused by supernatural powers. So these three miseries, the miseries caused by our body and mind, miseries caused by other living entity, or miseries caused by supernatural power. So it is said that we are suffering from all or at least one or two of them at any given time, all time. Uh, right now, you know, we we have been sitting at one place and hearing this class. Our body might be giving some misery. Sitting at one place for a longer, it gives the problem. So this is adhyatmic misery. Misery is given by your own body and mind, or misery is caused by other living entity. For example, me, I'm talking too much, and I'm giving you this bad news about all these miseries. So misery is caused by other living entity. Those miseries caused by supernatural powers. We go out, and it's rain or it's cold. So at any point of time, uh, we are either surrounded by either one or two, or maybe all three at a time. We are covered by all these. So we either so there are four miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death that take place at particular time in our life. But even in middle, right from the birth till the death, there will be three kinds of misery. Misery is caused by our body and mind, other living entities, and other supernatural powers. Somebody sent a message. Let me see what the message is. Oh, okay. Yeah, Prince Charles causing a COVID. Yeah, so even though he's a prince, he cannot get away from getting the COVID. What have I done here? Just a second, I need to reset my monitor. Just bear with me. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just start the slide again. So we have these three miseries, and we are covered by that any one in time. So if this is the problem with our life, whether we have a good karma or bad karma, we have to go through this misery of birth, old age, disease, and death, and these three miseries caused by our body, mind, other living entities, and supernatural power. Then, my dear friend, what is the solution? I'm not in good place by doing good activity, and I anyway suffer by doing bad activity. Then what is the solution? What is the answer to these problems? Uh, so answer, Krishna says it is akarma. What is akarma means? You do an action without reaction. You do certain activity which has got no reaction. So we can say, earlier we just said action, soul is very active. You cannot stop karma. Uh, so how can we do that? Seems like we are contradicting our own self. No, my friends, here what we are saying, you do an action which has got no reaction. We said earlier every action has either good reaction or bad reaction. It reacts. But do an action which has got no positive reaction or no negative reaction. So that is called akarma. Uh, so, we might be getting a little confused here, saying, it is getting all a little confused. How we can do an action which has got no reaction? Every action has a reaction. So how do we understand? So let's make it a very simple. Let's understand it with the example of a soldier. Now, soldier, he is appointed by the country or the government to fight on behalf of the country. Now, if he goes in the war and with his bravery, he destroys some enemy installations, or kills some soldier, and when he comes back, he is honored, saying, "Oh, you did well, wonderful. You acted on our behalf, and you are. We honor you." The same soldier, when he comes back and he goes onto the street and he puts the bomb into somebody's house and destroys that, or he goes and shoots somebody on the road, the same government will put him into prison. Now, what is the difference here? In the war, also, he killed someone or he destroyed some property, and he came back and he did the same activity, but now he's rewarded differently. Uh, the difference is that earlier he was sorry, press the wrong button. When he is in the war, he is acting on behalf of the government or the country. Whatever action he is taking on the war field, he is not responsible. The reaction does not come to him. The reaction goes to the country. The soldier is not made responsible for killing another soldier or destroying some property. But when he comes back, when he kills somebody on the street or destroys some property, he's not doing on the behalf of the government. He's doing on his own. So now he's responsible for his action. So the karma or vikarma, when we do it for our own self, either to enjoy or if we do some forbidden activity, we suffer. But we are doing it for ourselves, and that's why we are responsible for it. So if you take the example of a soldier, we should act in such a way that it does not generate reaction. And that means rather than acting for our own self, we act for Krishna or the God or Supreme Personality of Godhead. We act for Krishna. When we act for Krishna, then we do not generate any opposite reaction. Just like in a soldier, when he on the battlefield, on the when he goes to the war, though he is killing and destroying properties, he is not made responsible for the reaction of doing that activity. So acting or this action, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you do not have to change your action. You have to just change your consciousness. Rather than acting for your own benefit, for your own purpose of your own enjoyment, you act for the pleasure of Krishna. So the act remains the same as it is, but your consciousness is changed. So it requires a change of consciousness. And then we take the example of Arjun on the battlefield. So in the Bhagavad Gita is all about the talk between Krishna and the Arjun. Arjun, initially does not want to fight because he thinks it will create so many negative reactions in the society. So many women will be, or children will be orphaned, women will be not cared for, and so many society social disturbance will take place. I do not want to fight, and on top of that, how can I kill my own kinsmen, my own friends? It is very bad. The same Arjun, when he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he is now fighting on behalf of Krishna, not for himself, but for the on behalf of Krishna. So in the battlefield, Arjun is fighting, and his opposite party Duryodhana is also fighting. So the both are doing the same action. Both of them are fighting, but Duryodhana is fighting for his own sense gratification, but Arjun is fighting for the pleasure of Krishna. So the action is still same, but the consciousness is changed. So while we are living in this world, we might have to do the same activities what we've been doing all the time, but rather than we act for our own self, we act for the pleasure of Krishna or for the pleasure of God. Okay, so this is kind of our discussion about karma. It is leading through. We talked about karma, vikarma, action and action and forbidden action, and how we can how even the action of the good karma, it is not a good choice. The inaction is a right choice. So one can ask question now that okay, I will now act for the pleasure of Krishna. But how about my past karma? In the past karma, I acted for myself. What about the reaction of those karma? Because every action has a reaction. I have my some reaction which I have not gone through. What about that? For that, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So Krishna says, once you start acting on my behalf, on or for my pleasure, then I will look after all your past actions and reactions. You don't worry about that. So that way we get this nice assurance from Krishna that once we start acting for Krishna, when we act in as a akarma, we are relieved from all previous actions, previous reactions as well. And the new actions that we take, it has got no reaction. So I'm very off time. I'll just conclude our last few slides as a summary. So now we talk about three types of karma. Let's just summarize again. First is karma, which is good karma, prescribed duty, positive action, generates punya, prerequisite to enjoyment. And next is vikarma, a forbidden action, an action which generates a sinful or sin or the misery. And both karma and vikarma, they both generate our future bodies, and in each body that we take birth in, it has got four intrinsic problem: birth, old age, disease, and death, and the three constant miseries, which is miseries caused by body, mind, miseries caused by other living entity, and supernatural powers. And how do we get rid of, or how do we come out of this seemingly irresolvable situation? So Krishna says akarma. Akarma is devotional activity, an activity for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Now we'll connect our akarma to what we discussed in last two session. So akarma we generate through devotional activity, or many of you know we call it bhakti. Bhakti means we act for the pleasure of Krishna, devotional activity. And akarma has no reaction because we are acting for the pleasure of Krishna. It has got no reaction. We are not acting for our own personal sense gratification. So it generates no reaction. And last, mukti, it leads to liberation. The akarma eventually will take us to liberation. No more birth, no more going through the cycle of birth and death. We go back home, back to Godhead, into the spiritual world. In this world, to enjoy, uh, separate from Krishna, we are taking birth after birth in various species. But and sometimes we are enjoying, sometimes we are miserable, and we are going through cycle of birth and death. But with akarma, with devotional service, we achieve liberation, mukti, no more birth, no more death. We go to the spiritual world and stay with Krishna eternally there. So this is what the akarma is. So we discussed karma, vikarma, and akarma. And now let's just summarize the discussion that we did so far. So in our first session, our conclusion or our first lesson of Bhagavad Gita is that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. That was the first conclusion or the first lesson of about the body. That we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. And last week we talked about God or the Paramatma. So the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. So that is first lesson. Second lesson is that we are part and parcel of Krishna. The soul is part and parcel of Krishna. There is one shloka we actually did not cover last week. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke. The soul is a part of Krishna, the God. So we are part and parcel of Krishna. So if you are part and parcel of Krishna, and what we discussed today so far, action, inaction, and forbidden action, what is the third lesson we can conclude in our discussion today? So our third lesson for today is that our duty is to serve Krishna. That is the action we have to take. All our actions should be towards pleasing Krishna. So our duty is to serve Krishna. Service should be our action, not the exploitation or sense gratification. Service to Krishna. So we are not this body, we are a spirit soul, and we are part and parcel of Krishna. As a part and parcel of Krishna is our duty is to serve Krishna. Here the example we can make is the a leaf on the tree. A leaf on a tree, it is happy and healthy as long as it is connected to the tree. Then the leaf, is absorbing all these various nutritions from the air, and photosynthesis. It is serving the tree, and in the return, the, the the tree provides all the nutritions back to the leaf, and leaf is happy on that tree. But as soon as the leaf it it is disconnected from the tree, and it falls down, and within a few very short time, the leaf becomes completely dead. It loses all its life, and in due course of time it vanishes. The other example is that uh, since we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are part of Krishna, our duty is to serve Krishna. We take our whole body as an example. Our body has got various parts, my fingers, my hands, my legs, my stomach. uh, as long as my finger it is working for the benefit of this body, uh, the finger gets all its nutritions. This finger, if I have to scratch something, it serves my body. In the return, the finger gets all the nourishment to be healthy and to be in perfect condition. But as soon as the finger it is cut off from the body, that finger has got no value. It is just dead meat. It has got no value whatsoever. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the very basic information: who we are, what is God, and what is my relationship or what is my duty towards God. So in this section of karma that we have discussed today, we take our understanding at one another level. We know I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna. As a part and parcel of Krishna, a third lesson for today is that our duty is to serve Krishna. As long as we serve Krishna, we will be happy in this world. But as soon as we stop serving Krishna, then we get trapped into this cycle of karma and vikarma, good activity, bad activity. And that will lead us to the cycle of birth and death again and again and again and again, without any end. So we stop here. It's 11 o'clock now. If you have any questions or comments, you can take now. We'll stop the broadcast on YouTube, so if you can feel free to just a second. This one.